On the first summit I ever created, I had the pleasure of interviewing Julie Reisler, a board-certified master life and wellness coach, an interior designer for your soul. I found her insights to be so enlightening to me personally, and today she's joining me for the podcast. Julie is a mentor to hundreds of coaches, change makers, and soulful entrepreneurs. She is also the host of the USU podcast, a global show in over 175 countries, and the author of Get a PhD in You, an Amazon top pick. Julie has been featured in Forbes, Mind Body Green, the Chopra Center, Bustle, and Thrive Global for her work as a coach, teacher, and conscious business leader. Julie is a multi-time TEDx speaker and has spoken on stages throughout North America. She is also a popular course creator on Insight Timer, the #1 ranked mindfulness app. Julie holds a master's degree in health and wellness coaching from the Maryland University of Integrative Health and is a professor at Georgetown University in their coaching program. Julie is the founder of the Life Designer Coach Academy, a leading-edge certification program where she certifies spiritual life coaches worldwide. From perfectionism to ego to imposter syndrome, we cover a lot of topics today. I know you'll enjoy this conversation. I am so excited to introduce you to Julie Reisler, somebody who I've worked with in a summit in the past. I really enjoyed what she had to share, and I am super excited, Julie, that you have come onto Imperfection in Progress podcast. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Dawn. I loved talking to you then, and I'm excited to talk to you and converse today.
So tell us a little bit about who you are and what you've been doing, because I keep up on like newsletters, following you a little bit on, I think it's Instagram that I mostly see you on, but tell me a little bit about what you're up to.
Yeah, I'll condense this. It's like my brain goes to, well, where do we start? But I'll shorten it by saying my own what I teach and what I do comes from my own inner struggles, growth, transformation. I worked with a coach about 15 years ago that literally that work, I awakened. It's the only way to say it. I had a complete transformation. And so much so I went back, got my master's degree in health and wellness coaching, ended up leaving my day job 9 to 5 as a single mom at the time, started my own business almost 10 years now. And so today, what that looks like, I still coach individuals, but mainly I have a coaching certification program that weaves in spiritual healing principles, that weaves in positive psychology and things that have really helped me along my healing journey. I have a community for conscious coaches, the Inner Circle. I have my coach academy, and then I still teach actually at Georgetown University in their coaching program. So all of those things. And then I have a podcast, and I am working on my next book, which is all about overcoming imposter syndrome. So this is the top. I've certainly lived, breathed, and constantly growing through it.
I love hearing all this. And I love the fact that you are teaching others to create this life for themselves through coaching and all of that and what it can offer to people. And again, because we're spending the summer months talking about entrepreneurship, I love that you are also helping women become entrepreneurs, because I think that is an amazing part of life and being something more and heading to a calling.
Yeah. I think to add, I love that you're focusing on entrepreneurs and women entrepreneurs. To me, we are the change makers, the light bringers, those that are saying, you know what, I want to do something that's going to make a bigger impact in the world. I want to use my creativity as a force for good, whether it's coaching, whether it is in the healing space or the well-being space, mindfulness space, art space, corporate HR, it doesn't matter. It's really tapping into my whole, everything I talk about is being your USU, your highest potential. And what I love about entrepreneurship is there are no rules in a way. You can tap into your inner authentic gifts, strengths, talents, and follow those. And I just know the world always needs what is within each of us, those gifts. So to me, like all the entrepreneurial women out there that are listening, like, hey, I'm with you. And I think it's awesome, and it takes courage and bravery. And I think the world needs us. I really do.
Yeah, I totally agree 100%. I think it's interesting that when we're speaking to women entrepreneurs specifically, we juggle a lot of roles and we carry a lot of balls, however you want to put that. But there's often so many parts of us being called and pulled on in order to create this life that we want. And I think one of the things that I'm hearing a lot about recently is the fact that they want freedom, And yet they feel so tied down, whether it's still having another job, plus trying to create this new job, plus trying to have time for their family, plus trying to do the role of taking care of things, cleaning things, all of that stuff, that it feels like life is almost out of control. And yet the whole point of this was to have freedom, to have more control. And what do you find when you're helping women through this?
Yeah, this topic, it's funny when I was in the corporate world and actually have done a lot of trainings with companies and leadership and they would call it work-life balance, right? And I was like, here's the thing though, when you hear balance, you think of a scale, I think of like for those into astrology, Libra or the balance where you have the scale with two things on each side. I don't believe that actually exists where you're going to have a full balanced scale like that. I think a better word is harmony. And harmony is going to be different for each person. And it also means harmony today might look different than harmony tomorrow. So, what comes under that to have harmony means serenity, means peace, means boundaries, means self care, means honoring your time, yourself, your worthiness at a whole other level. And the truth is, I can tell you almost 10 years in this, everything that's there to be healed is going to be revealed because you are going most likely to see where those leaks are in your time, in your energy, in the way that you do your day. I mean, I found working for myself, I was workaholic-ish, like getting to that level because the ceiling, there is no ceiling. It's a great thing. There's so much freedom. So how are you going to know when enough is enough? And that can be tricky. And I think finding that harmony, that sense of alignment, that takes a little time and just to know it's okay. I do think there's some basic factors though to find that. And first of all, being compassionate with yourself is definitely one of them.
Yeah, yeah, totally agree. It's interesting when we're reaching out in that entrepreneurial space. And again, like you were saying, like there's no real balance as far as the scale goes, but it does teach you so many areas of your life that need to be looked at, that need to be worked on, that need to be addressed. I think like nothing else
Yeah.
possible. Like if someone had told me when I was signing up for this was what it was going to be, I might have thought second, third, fourth, fifth time around, do I really want to dig into all these things? But it's also an amazing thing because it helps you learn how to grow as a person. And I think that is to me the joy of being an entrepreneur as much as it's probably the hardest part of it.
Yeah. I think you just said it brilliantly. Like if you've signed up for a life, a purpose, a quest, adventure to really truly learn who you are, step into your highest self, your highest potential, just go the entrepreneurial route. And I guarantee you, if you're open to it and awake and willing to do the work, it's why I've actually found myself coaching so many entrepreneurial women because and I work with a coach as well because it's hard to do this yourself. It's I think having like the resource of this conversation, this community, your podcast, other knowing you're not alone and also getting you are going to be meeting your shadows. You're going to be meeting the areas that need love, that need healing. And don't be surprised if it might be the area that you're working on or working in or teaching about. At least in my experience and with a lot of the people I've worked with, we often are teaching what we need to learn and be reminded of. And I know no other way. I mean, I the amount of growth transformation I've experienced personally is like at a whole different level than prior to doing this entrepreneurial venture.
For the months of July, August, and September, we are focusing on being a woman entrepreneur. I know personally that along my journey, there have been some amazing coaches who have helped me figure out exactly what I wanted to do and how I wanted it to look and feel. Sometimes the overwhelm was crazy, and I needed that outside view to help simplify what I needed to focus on and to keep me accountable. My favorite thing about working with a coach is that I get more done in less time. Whether it is learning to manage my time, having step-by-step actions to complete a goal, or having someone to help me overcome limiting beliefs and mindset blocks, the coaches I have worked with have been a huge part of my success. Maybe you're looking for a coach or are curious if it's something you need. Because I believe so highly in helping women on their journeys, I want to offer you something special. Each month, from July through September, I'm offering 30-minute strategy calls for free to the first 6 women who book a call with me. Each month, 6 new spots will open, And I hope you will take advantage of this time to get clear on where you are and where you want to go. I love learning about the women in my community, and I'm looking forward to hearing about what you want to create. Book your call by clicking on the link in the show notes, or go to my podcast page on my website, pursueprogress.com/podcast. These 6 spots are first come, first serve, so don't wait. Now, back to the podcast.
Yes. And one of the things I'm loving is that you are, obviously the book is coming out soon, but that it's on imposter syndrome. And I think that's one of the areas I hear a lot about, no matter what area of entrepreneurship a woman is going into, feeling like, can I really coach somebody in this? Can I really tell somebody about this? Am I good enough to do that? I don't even have this down yet. Like, I feel like such a fraud. What does this look like when you are writing this? I'm sure it's from experience. What does this look like when we're heading in here?
Yeah, I think, oh gosh, I'm going to try to condense because there's a lot here. And I think the first thing to understand is it's so common. Okay, so you almost want to go in like just assume you're probably going to have some voice that comes up that's like, our ego is there to protect us, right? We don't want to be, ideally, we start to move away from ego and into heart and love. But ego, it's that part of us is here to protect us. So that part that's like, what are you doing? You don't have what it takes. You only have 17 certifications. You don't have 20, whatever. I mean, and I literally have almost 17 and it was like, nope, you don't have it. I mean, it's just crazy crap. And it often reflects parts of ourselves, I believe, shadows, parts that want to be healed, that maybe there was wounds before, a feeling not good enough, or you didn't feel whatever enough. It's usually the not something enough. When you start hearing that, I now have a little like banter and joke with myself. Like I'm like, oh, okay, now we're heading into the aspect of like mean Julie. Like she's just, I can see her as this like tight, like she just doesn't have that openness. And she's just here to protect, but she doesn't get what I'm really here for. So it's helped me to give her kind of a character and to talk to her and banter with her. Because the truth is to know it's not you, it's a voice, it's a protection, it's a fear, it's a doubt. That's not the truth of you. What I would say, one of the biggest shifts, and I'm thinking for those who've done any work around miracles or Course in Miracles, they say a miracle is a shift in perspective, a change in perception. One of the biggest miracles and perception shifts I've had is around this topic and really understanding at a deep root core level that, the question is, who are you really? Right. So are you those doubts? This is a deeper question. I really recommend journaling, going into your heart, like going into who are you and why are you here? Why is this work you're doing important? When you start getting into the why, this is what, if you've seen Simon Sinek's work on Start With Why, it goes to purpose. It goes to your heart. You stay there and keep coming back to the why. And then the piece that's helped me the most, I'll tell you, Dawn, is the piece that it's not about me. Like the truth is, when I start feeling doubtful or I don't have enough experience, whatever the voice is, and it can come up in weird, insidious ways. Like me not being coaching, I feel pretty solid about that today, but come up with writing my next book. Like, I don't know. I got a D in English in 9th grade. She said I was flowery. Like I shouldn't be writing this book. No, this book is not about me. It is about other women who are dealing with imposter syndrome. And I got a pretty strong intuitive guidance to write this book. And it's not about me. So sorry, doubt. Love you. We're not gonna listen today. I know Elizabeth Gilbert talks about this in her book, Big Magic. Taking that fear, putting it next to you. I think of it as like a little baby in the back seat in her little car seat. And it's like, you can be there. You're just not going to you're not going to drive the car because you're two. So those fears are going to come up. I think they're usually here for healing. But what's helped the most is really getting that why. Why are you doing this anyhow? And remembering it's actually not about you. That has helped me to step into so many things I didn't think I would be able to do.
There's so many times when we take the focus off of ourselves that it really changes the whole perspective, the feeling, the emotions that come up, they hold us back. I agree with you completely on that. And I love that you put the focus on not being about me, right? It's the service, it's the helping, it's the being there for others. So I think if you're struggling with that, and you're listening to this, starting to think about not just the why, but who are you doing it for, and what are you wanting to provide for them? Because it really does change everything.
Yeah. To add to that, what helps me is I usually have an intention or a mantra or a prayer or an offering before I start my day, before I start anything, especially a project or a conversation or speaking or whatever it is. And that idea that it's about me and it's not about me at all. Like it comes through you. The message, the inspiration, the helping others, the teaching, the whatever you're stepping into, you're the vessel of that. It comes through you. You've chosen to say yes to that. Otherwise you wouldn't be listening right now, you wouldn't be thinking of starting your own business or practice or whatever you're doing. I really have found, though, when I can really imagine, feel, and tune into, I am being utilized as a channel for a higher force, for a higher good. It changes the entire landscape and the entire atmosphere. And that, so finding a way to really plug yourself into that wall of connection. If you're a spiritual person, I think of it as like a spiritual grid that I'm plugging myself into that is just loving and about making an impact and being of service, whatever that is for you. It's not for the faint of heart doing this entrepreneurial thing. And I can say this from starting from zero. I mean, I came in with no clients. I had, no trust fund, no big savings for it. I just had a very deep desire to help others. And in doing 2 TEDx talks and writing books and a podcast and growing, it's like, it's not about me. I keep asking how can I be used? And we all of us, anyone listening, no question, especially look at the world. No question, whatever it is that's coming through you, whether you want to create beautiful pastries or you're into gardening or farm to table, whatever it is, there's an aspect of that gift that is going to help elevate our planet. And who are you not to step into that? It's actually, to me, the arrogance is when we don't step into this, when we don't use our gifts. And it's a mind flip, right? Because your mind's going to tell you, like, who am I to do this? Well, no, really, like, who are you to take a gift you got from the greater universe, the divine, and not use it? And then get to the end of life and feel like I should have used it. No, now is the time. And I really think those practices of grounding and really getting it's not about me, that has helped me do things I said I would never thought I'd be able to do.
Going in that direction, it can be interesting when we talk about ego. And I think a lot of times we don't even realize it's ego, or we just think we're afraid and we don't realize that it's the ego coming in there. But can we discuss that a little bit too when it comes to
Yeah.
entrepreneurship, stepping out, finding that calling, how that can really hold us back?
There's a great acronym for ego. I'm going to use 2 different versions because for those who like use the word God, it might work. And if you don't, so ego, otherwise known as edging God out or edging greatness out, right? I like to think of it as edging that greatness in you out. And it's a protector. I think really understanding there is so much more I could go into this. I have worked with and interviewed, and for those who might know Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor, she did a very famous TED talk on she's a neuroanatomist from Harvard. She had a stroke and she then wrote a book called Whole Brain Living. And she looks at the different parts of our left brain and our right brain. And she actually could see our ego lives in the left brain known as character 2. We have 4 characters, 2 in each side of the brain. So I want everyone to like, we have, it's not a bad thing. When she had her stroke, that ego and her left brain went offline. She couldn't tell the difference between her arm and like the sky. Everything was flowing, it was beautiful. She could not make out the boundaries. And she always says, I'm so grateful for the left brain, for my ego, for that character 2, for the part of me that character 1 that tells you this is you're here and this person's there. So we have it, and it's something not to hate upon. However, what I say is you don't want to let that be your chauffeur driving you around. That is not who you want driving you. I have done a lot of work with HeartMath, with the HeartMath Institute, and a lot of research and science and understanding that we have literal fields of information intelligence. Our heart picks up that information greater than any part of our body. There's an electromagnetic field that is larger in your heart. So to me, I mean, you just look at all of the different sayings that have been around for thousands of years, right? Listen to your heart, love conquers all, just tune into your heart. The truth is that I find the more you learn to do that and stay there, the more the ego can then follow suit and follow your heart, follow your greater passion, compassion, purpose. It's when our ego is driving, that's when we get into trouble. That's where we edge greatness out because we're following something that's based on fear and protection. And we want it to be maybe 5%, 10%, 15%, not 90% of what's leading.
On this podcast, usually when I'm not doing this summer series, we talk a lot about the three P's, which are people pleasing, perfectionism, and procrastination. And I think all of this also relates to that when it comes to your entrepreneurial journey, because of the fact that our perfectionism plays with our ego, our people pleasing plays with our ego as much as people always think that's the opposite. And even our procrastination is being afraid to do anything because of our ego. So what can we do when we're people who are gravitating towards one of, or maybe all of those three Ps,
Yeah.
and we are in an entrepreneurial time in our lives when we're either creating something right now or we want to, but those things are holding us back?
Yeah. And I think it's good what you said. The perfectionism and the people pleasing is the other end of the stick with what you might see as more of that arrogance. It's actually the underbelly of it. And first of all, the first thing, like in anything that you're going to be changing or wanting to look at and transform, you have to have some awareness. You've just got to notice it. So ideally, you're noticing this, you're creating new awareness with compassion. You're not being crappy to yourself. The minute you start judging yourself, we all know this. The problem is it shifts your vibration and your energy, and then you start getting into that attack mode, which is the ego. So I found this to be the most interesting slash curious slash challenging is to see, oh, I'm people pleasing. Okay. All right. Oh, I'm in perfectionism. All right. Let me like hold myself with some compassion here. I'm seeing it. I think the next question would be get curious. You really want curiosity is one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory ways of dealing with your life, right? It's like a healing bond. You get curious, it gets you out of shame, it gets you out of judgment, it gets you out of attack, it gets you out of all of those places of fear. So you get curious. I wonder what's going on here. I wonder what's happening. I wonder what is this really about? Oh, I really want her to like me. Okay, well, let's be with that for a minute. And then you want to notice where is that in your body? Where are you noticing that, sensing that, right? And ideally, I think the evolved version is to learn to love that part of you and to be kind to that part of you and maybe even talk to that part of you like we were talking earlier. I have two children. Like if my child early on walking falls, I'm not going to scream at them because they fell. It's similar. So talking to yourself lovingly, it's a practice and really like, all right. So you say to yourself, all right, Jill, like, I see that. I see you. You're feeling not good enough right now. I'm just loving you right now, anyhow. We're saying stuff to ourselves at all times. We really are over 70,000 thoughts. I know everyone knows this. You actually have a lot more authority and sovereignty than you realize. And you can start saying things that get into neutral because we want to get neutral. You stay in that ego and that judgment, you're going to see it. Unfortunately, you're going to see it show up everywhere.
Yeah. When you're working, yourself on your own parts of you, what comes up the most often for you? Is it the people pleasing, the perfectionism, the procrastination? Do you still have any of those hanging around?
Yeah. Whew, I'm like every day, Dawn, every day. Just ask my husband, I'm working on this. Procrastination for me, it's funny. I think if anything, I go to the other extreme, which is I've done more of the workaholic, like just do it all. So I would say for me, when I'm procrastinating, it's like a great day because that doesn't happen often. But perfectionism can show up. I would say the people pleasing is probably as someone who's pretty empathic, intuitive, I feel people, I love people. Like most of us, like I want to be liked. I like connecting and positive interactions. And so that's the area for me is being in that space and noticing when, oh, I really am noticing I want that person to approve of that or to like me, or I can tell that they don't feel as connected to me or I don't feel as connected to so that
Yeah.
area is I find out finding that comes up probably the most I've done a lot of healing. This can be healed. And the more that I focus on service, and it's okay to have people that don't like you, the truth is we all are projecting our own inner world anyhow, which is little like secret here. That is literally what's happening in your world is a projection of what your unconscious and conscious beliefs are. So what I've learned to do is, oh, where am I not feeling enough in myself? If I'm seeing that in someone else, where am I doing that myself? So it's become this kind of curiosity game at this point.
I think that part is so fun when you start to be able to let go of the judgment of things you don't maybe like about yourself and to be able to start saying, "Oh, that's interesting that that comes out. That's interesting that that keeps being a thought that goes through my mind or that I keep seeing people who have that issue because probably it's something that I'm dealing with." So I love that you bring that up because like you said at the very beginning, this whole journey really helps point out those areas that we need to be looking at and working on.
100%. Well, and this is where it gets interesting and fun. And this is partially, to be honest, why I got into coaching, because this is what you do, right? Is you help. So I do it with myself and I do it with other people, but you start to look at everything is a learning opportunity. We're here in this greater classroom called human life that chose, however you believe that. And all of it is to be, I like that idea of it's being revealed to be healed. And to on a larger kind of macro level, I think that humanity 3.0 would look like everyone taking responsibility and looking at ourselves and saying, it's not you. Where is this happening in me? And where do I need to spend some time inside me so that I can do the healing work so that I'm changing my reality by changing my inner reality. And so to me, that's why all of us, when we do this, I don't even think people understand. And I know I believe this. I still don't fully get it, but I just know the work that you and I do, that everyone's listening, that you do, you have no idea how that's impacting this world in a positive way. You being that tuned in, that healed version of yourself, that greater version of yourself, you've no idea how many people and beings you're inspiring, you're modeling for. You have no idea how you can change the environment around you. And I really believe that. So it's for yourself, but it's also for the world.
Yes, and I think even as a mom, I'm noticing more and more my children have picked this up. These are things that are just naturally being taught in the home, and my hope is that then it's such a normal part of life for them that then they spread that to their friends, to their children when they have kids, to their partners, whatever. But I think we even if we just start in our home, the impact that we can have multiplies exponentially.
100%. And the home is probably the most essential place to be practicing and can be the hardest with some of these that we're talking about: perfectionism, procrastination, people pleasing. I mean, all of it. You want to, I mean, again, have a family, have a business, you're going to see it all come up. And the truth is we start in the home. I mean, it emanates from there. No idea how powerful each of us are and how when we do that inner work. I mean, I've seen it with my own kids and my own family, the changes that are happening and have happened because choosing to be conscious, choosing to grow, choosing to be curious versus hide under a rock or avoid. Or I struggle openly with food addiction, like shove my head into a barrel of ice cream. Not that, I mean, no judgment, but like I could easily live in there. I could live in some boxes and barrels of things like that. And it being with your emotions, being with the ego, the edging the greatness out and saying, you know what? I see you. I'm not gonna judge you. I want to move through this. What is happening? And being curious. I think curiosity, if I were to say again, that's probably the most important aspect that can really neutralize anything that we're talking about.
So one thing I know is that you have given us free gift, which is the 7-day workbook to design your best life. And I think this is going to play a part in what you're talking about here. But can you tell us a little bit about how it's going to help us?
Yeah, so I created this tool set and I really wanted to put together some of my favorite practices and tools and just the things that I use and that I've used with clients over the last decade plus. They're really they're user friendly. It's quite a beautiful workbook, I would, if I may say so myself. Like it was a lot of fun to design and I took what I knew has helped me and what has helped so many others. And so what I love is it goes into various aspects, mind, body, spirit, as well as left and right brain. They are easy to use. Each tool for each day is easy to apply and can make a huge shift in your self, in your consciousness, in your feeling more peaceful, feeling more confident, feeling more at ease. And I know there's a couple of them. One of them has an actual audio meditation that I recorded, so you can listen to that. I have it so if you're not an audio person, you can read it, you can work through it. There's a lot of hands-on activities. I'm big into like getting your pen, getting like printing it out if you can, or you can also do it on the form itself, but to really like get into that creative space and get into your heart. So all of these 7 tools are definitely heart activators and help you tune into your greater potential for sure.
Thank you so much for this. I think if you're looking for it, it's in the show notes. You'll also find all the contact info for Julie there. So connect in with her. I mean, that to me is the awesome part about podcasts is that you get to see different communities and find people that fit and help support you. And so you're one of those I know will be just amazing for people that are listening. But Julie, where's a really good place if they just want to connect with you right now? Where can they go?
Yeah. The best thing to do is go to my website. Honestly, everything is there. There's also a contact page and place where you can reach out. But my website, which is just my first and last name, juliereisler.com. I'm sure it'll be in the show notes. It's super easy. It is spelled Reisler, REI, like the store. That's helpful. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Insight Timer, which is a popular mindfulness app. So you can find me in other places, but the website is probably the easiest.
Thank you again, Julie, for being here. I am so happy that we got to reconnect and that we get to share you with everybody that's listening.
Dawn, thank you. I think this is such an important topic. And my prayer is that this conversation really, really did add value and hopefully was of service to everyone listening. And just want to say thank you to all of you listening because this is an important conversation to have, honestly. And just being here, taking this in can lead to greater transformation.